Baby, it's the evening of 5th May. The same date, but a different feeling. Morning was heavy. It reminded me of your promise. But this evening, it reminds me of my love. Because even after everything, even after the distance, even after the silence, one thing didn't change. I still love you the same, and I don't even know how that's possible. How, after everything that happened, after everything that broke between us, after everything I went through, my heart still feels the same way. It didn't reduce, it didn't fade, it didn't disappear. It just stayed quietly, deeply, without asking for anything in return. Maybe that's what real love is. Not something that changes with time, but something that stays even when everything else is gone. This evening feels calm, not like the morning, not like those nights filled with pain. It feels soft, but inside that softness, there's a truth I can't ignore. I still think about you, not in a way that hurts loudly, but in a way that stays quietly in my heart, like a memory that refuses to fade, like a feeling that doesn't need words anymore. I remember the way you used to smile, the way you used to talk, the way everything felt easy when you were around, and for a moment it feels like nothing has changed, like you're still part of my life, like I'm still part of yours. But then reality comes back and reminds me you're not here, not anymore, and maybe not in the way I wish you were. But even after accepting that, even after understanding everything, my heart didn't change its feeling. It still chooses you, not because I'm weak, not because I can't move on, but because what I felt for you was real, and real things don't just disappear. They stay in different forms, in different ways, but they stay. There's something strange about this evening. It doesn't feel painful. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels honest, like my heart is finally saying, yes, I still love them, without fear, without expectation, without hope of getting anything back. Just love, pure, simple, quiet love. And maybe that's what hurts in a different way. Because loving someone without having them is a different kind of pain. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep, very deep. Because you don't want anything from them anymore, but your heart still holds them the same way. And that's where I am right now. I don't expect you to come back. I don't wait for your messages anymore. I don't build dreams around us. But still, when I think of love, I think of you, and maybe that's something time can't change. Maybe the evening is getting quieter now. The light is fading, and with it, all the noise inside me is slowly settling down. It's strange. I thought loving you like this would always hurt the same way, but tonight it feels different, not less, but deeper, like the pain has turned into something calmer, something I can sit with without breaking. I've been thinking about us, not in a way that asks questions anymore, but in a way that understands, because maybe love doesn't always need answers. Maybe sometimes it just needs acceptance. I used to wonder, why didn't it work? What did I do wrong? Why couldn't we stay the same? But now, those questions don't feel as important because I realized something. Love doesn't fail because it wasn't real. Sometimes it just doesn't last, and that doesn't make it any less meaningful. What we had was real, what I felt was real, and what I still feel is real, even if it has nowhere to go now, even if it doesn't belong to anything anymore. I don't hold on to you the same way now. I don't wait. I don't expect. I don't imagine a future that includes you. But still, when my heart speaks honestly, it says your name, and I don't fight it anymore because I understand it. I understand that love doesn't just switch off, it doesn't disappear because things ended. It just changes from something loud to something quiet, from something shared to something personal. And that's what it is now. My love for you is mine. It doesn't depend on you anymore. It doesn't need your presence. It doesn't need your words. It just exists silently, deeply, without asking for anything. And maybe that's the purest form of love. Loving someone even when they're not yours anymore. Even when you know they're not coming back. Even when you've accepted that your story has ended. There's no anger in me anymore, no blame, no regret, just a calm understanding that we were something beautiful for a while, and that's enough because not every love story is meant to last forever. Some are meant to touch your life, change you, and then leave. And you changed me in ways I can't explain. You taught me how deeply I can feel, how honestly I can love, how strong I can become, even after losing someone I didn't want to lose. And for that, I'm grateful, even if it came with pain. So tonight, I don't hold on to the past. I don't try to bring anything back. I just sit here with this quiet love inside me and let it be, because maybe some feelings are not meant to end. They're just meant to become softer and stay with you in a way that doesn't hurt the same anymore. And that's what this is now. Not a wound, not a loss, but a memory that still feels like love. Baby, the evening has almost turned into night now. The sky is darker, the world is quieter, and for the first time today, my heart feels still, not empty, not heavy, just still. And maybe that's what I needed all along. Not answers, not closure from you, but peace within myself, because for so long I kept trying to understand us, trying to fix what was already broken, trying to hold on to something that life had already let go. But tonight I finally stopped trying. And when I did, something inside me relaxed, like my heart finally accepted the truth that some love stories don't continue, not because they weren't strong, but because they weren't meant to stay. And that's okay, it really is, because what we had was never meaningless. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something I regret. It was real, and real things don't need forever to be important. You were a part of my life, a beautiful one, a meaningful one, even if it didn't last, even if it didn't end the way I imagined. Because at one point, you made me feel something pure, something honest, something that changed me, and that will always matter. But tonight, I also understand something else. Loving you doesn't mean I have to hold on to you. Missing you doesn't mean I have to stay stuck. Caring about you doesn't mean I have to wait, because love is not about losing yourself. It's not about staying in pain. It's not about holding on to something that's already gone. Love, real love, also knows when to let go, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in peace. And that's where I am now, at peace, not because I stopped loving you, but because I stopped expecting you, and that changes everything. Because expectations, they create pain, they create waiting, they create disappointment. But love without expectations feels different. It feels calm. It feels free. And that's what I feel right now. A quiet kind of love. One that doesn't ask for anything. One that doesn't need to be returned. One that simply exists, and I'm okay with that, because I know now that I deserve more than just memories. I deserve presence, I deserve effort, I deserve someone who chooses me the way I once chose you, and I won't settle for less than that anymore. Not because I'm bitter, but because I've learned, because I've grown, because I've understood my worth. And maybe that's the biggest lesson you gave me. You didn't just show me what love feels like, you showed me what I deserve, even if it came through loss, even if it came through pain. And for that, I thank you, truly, because not every goodbye is meant to break you. Some goodbyes are meant to rebuild you, to make you stronger, to help you find yourself again. And I did, slowly, quietly, but truly. So tonight, as this day ends, as 5th May slowly fades away, I don't feel the same pain I felt before. I don't feel the same confusion. I don't feel the same emptiness. I feel clarity. I feel calm. I feel like I finally reached a place where I can look at everything and just accept it. Accept the love, accept the loss, accept the ending without fighting it, without questioning it, without wishing it was different, because it happened the way it was meant to happen. And I'm okay with that now. Baby, today is 5th evening May, and yes, I still love you the same, but now that love doesn't hold me back anymore. It doesn't keep me stuck. It doesn't make me wait. It just lives inside me as something beautiful that once was, and that's enough. Even after everything we've endured, the distance that now stretches between us like an unbridgeable chasm, the silence that blankets our once vibrant conversations, one undeniable truth remains steadfast. My love for you remains unchanged. Sometimes I find myself pondering the mystery of how such deep feelings can persist, captivating my heart despite the turmoil that shattered what we once had. My affection for you hasn't diminished or faded over time. It simply chose to remain quietly nestled in my heart, patient and steadfast, never demanding anything in return. Perhaps this enduring sentiment is the essence of true love, not something that is contingent on time or circumstance, but rather something that simply thrives even when chaos reigns. As I sit in the stillness of this evening, it feels remarkably different from the burdened mornings and the sleepless nights laden with sorrow. This time, there's a softness in the air, a gentle caress that wraps around me, signaling an acceptance within. Yet beneath this serene surface there lies a poignant truth that I cannot dismiss. You are still ever present in my thoughts, not in a way that strikes painfully, but in a manner that